My son told the neighbors I'd wandered into traffic, forgot my name, and tried to pay for groceries with bottle caps. 2 women showed up at my door with clipboards. "Your daughter expressed some concerns," they said. They weren't worried, they were planning. I started documenting everything, every visit, every "mom, you're being paranoid," every lie. Then I found the envelope, a blank power of attorney, slipped under my door. In court, the judge asked, "Mrs. Harper, do you understand why we're here today?" I said, "Because rumor travels faster than evidence." They said I was losing my mind. Turns out, I just started using it. You might be a mother, or maybe a daughter, and you'll understand this kind of heartbreak. When your own family questions your sanity, it cuts deeper than words. May God never let any parent feel that pain. Now, let me share my story. I know exactly when they decided I'd lost my mind. It wasn't when I misplaced my keys or burned a pie. It was the morning I told them I was taking my name off the house deed. That's when the smiles froze. That's when "moms just confused lately" started echoing behind my back. My name is Elaine Harper, 68, retired nurse, perfectly sane, and apparently that was the problem. Because sane women ask questions. Sane women read the fine print before signing things. Sane women don't quietly hand over their lives. 3 months ago, I woke up to a knock on the door. 2 women stood outside, pastel sweaters, clipboards, that syrupy voice people use with the elderly. "Mrs. Harper, we're from the county wellness team. Your daughter expressed some concerns." Concerns? Such a polite word for accusation. They peeked around my house like detectives on a budget, opened the fridge, checked my medication bottles, asked me the date. I answered. "April 17th, Tuesday, you're both about to overstep." They wrote things down, they always do. The taller one smiled. "Sometimes memory issues come on suddenly, dear." I smiled back, and sometimes greed does. They didn't write that down. I used to be the reliable one. The nurse who never missed a shift. The widow who handled the bills without help. The mother who kept the Christmases together when nobody else wanted to. When my husband died 8 years ago, I didn't crumble. I learned online banking, changed the water heater myself, and even fixed the leaky sink YouTube style. I also raised 2 kids who used to brag about my independence. Until independence got in their way. See, this house, the white one on Birch Avenue with the rose bushes, it's mine, paid off last November. 41 years of mortgage, overtime, and packed lunches. I even have the final receipt framed in my office, next to a photo of me in my scrubs. Every line item, every payment. Proof of a life handled without shortcuts. But 2 months after that, my daughter Melissa started dropping hints. "Mom, it's too much house for you." "Mom, you forget to lock the door sometimes." "Mom, maybe you should add me to the deed, just in case." Just in case. That phrase should be in the dictionary, under how to steal from your parents politely. Then came my son Ryan, acting like the voice of reason. "We just want you protected, Mom. You've been through a lot." They said it with kind faces. That's the thing about betrayal, it usually dresses in care. The week after, the whispers started. Mrs. Lang from next door asked if I was managing okay. The pharmacist asked if I wanted reminder texts for my pills. Then my neighbor's daughter, the one who walks her dog at dawn, asked if I'd been feeling disoriented. I asked her why. She said, "Your daughter mentioned you wandered off during the block party." I didn't even go to the block party. I was in my backyard that night, trimming hydrangeas. They de-invented a story, and people believed it. That's when it clicked. This wasn't about worry, it was strategy. Because when people think you're unstable, you stop being the narrator of your own life. They start rewriting your story for you. The next week, Melissa accidentally brought a lawyer's folder to lunch. Power of attorney documents already filled in, just needed my signature. "Mom, it's routine," she said. "You'll still have control." I read it twice. It gave her the right to access my bank, sell the property, and make medical decisions in case of incapacity. Incapa, what? Because I forget where I put my reading glasses. I slid the paper back. I'll think about it. That night, a patrol car parked outside for 10 minutes. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe someone, concerned about my safety, made a call. The next morning, a lady from Adult Protective Services showed up again. "Mrs. Harper, do you ever feel unsafe living alone?" I looked her dead in the eye. Not until my children started visiting. Here's what they didn't know: I write everything down, always have. Patient notes, grocery totals, even conversations. It's a habit from nursing. If you didn't document it, it didn't happen. So I started documenting. Every visit, every call, every "Mom, you're being paranoid." April 10, Melissa suggested locking my checkbook for my own good. April 12, Ryan asked for my account passwords in case of emergency. April 14, found voice memo on Alexa, Melissa testing. "Alexa, what's Mom's medication schedule?" I wasn't losing my mind. I was losing my privacy. The final straw came on a Sunday. I was watering plants when I heard my name through the hedge. Melissa was talking to our neighbor, Mrs. Lang. "She's slipping fast. I found expired soup cans, and she thought it was 2021. I froze. Expired soup cans, I'd thrown them out that morning. And I never said 2021. I said since 2021 when talking about fertilizer. They were twisting normal into crazy, word by word. And I knew exactly why. I had seen Ryan whisper to a realtor 2 weeks before, pointing at my house. I wasn't supposed to notice, but sane people notice things. That night, I called my friend Janice, retired social worker. She listens for a living. I told her everything. She paused and said, "Elaine, they're setting you up for guardianship. Classic pattern. I've seen it 100 times. Guardianship, the polite word for legalized theft. They'll file a petition, claim you're forgetful or unsafe. Court appoints them your guardian, and boom, your accounts, your house, your medical control, all theirs." She took a breath. "You need to prove competence, officially, publicly, unforgeably." That word stuck, unforgeably. So I made a plan, a good one, cold, clean, and clever. Step 1, book a cognitive evaluation, voluntary, on record. Step 2, film everything time-stamped. Step 3, control the narrative. Step 4, let them hang themselves trying to contradict me. I booked an appointment with Dr. Feldman, neurologist, 65, no nonsense. "You want cognitive testing?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "I want you to certify that I am of sound mind. Full report, letterhead, signatures, everything, and I'd like to film the session." He raised an eyebrow. "People usually come here terrified of that." "I'm not terrified of the truth." I scored 30 out of 30. He even wrote excellent recall, insight, reasoning intact, no cognitive decline. I smiled. "Could you also note that I organized this appointment myself?" He laughed. "I'll add it." Step 1 done. Step 2 was trickier. I installed a doorbell cam and a small indoor cam that faced my kitchen table. Just for security, I told anyone who asked. What I didn't say, it recorded every concerned visit. Every "Mom, you forgot to pay the gas bill," while I showed them the receipt with a timestamp. The footage piled up like silent witnesses. No confusion, no forgetfulness, just manipulation caught in HD. Step 3, the public part. My neighborhood trusts Facebook more than police, so I played their game. I joined the local community group, the same one where Melissa's concerns had spread like mold. I posted, "To my dear neighbors, I appreciate your care and prayers. Since there have been questions about my health, I thought I'd share something concrete. I recently had a full neurological assessment, perfect results. I'm happy to answer questions in person with cookies. Also, the garden club meets at my house this Saturday. I'll be hosting." It was polite, it was bait. Saturday came. People showed up half out of curiosity, half out of guilt. I brewed coffee, handed out cookies, and casually left the letter from Dr. Feldman framed on the counter, right beside a folder labeled Guardianship Prevention Plan. I didn't say a word, but I watched them read. One by one, their faces changed. Then came the finale, the proof they could never forget. I called Ryan and Melissa to dinner. Calm, kind, inviting. "Let's start fresh," I said. "Family only." They arrived smiling too wide. I served roast chicken, their favorite. We talked about Tommy's new job, Melissa's yoga retreat. Normal, I let them relax. Then I placed a small black folder on the table. Inside, notarized letters, dated videos, and a legal document. Ryan frowned. "What's this?" "Everything you said I couldn't handle." The papers detailed every step I'd taken: medical certifications, camera footage, bank records, timestamps. And at the end, one final paper, a deed transfer. Not to either of them. To a charitable trust under my name, managed by a lawyer, proceeds going to a local nursing scholarship fund when I die. Their faces drained. Melissa stammered, You can't just." "I can," I said quietly, "because I'm of sound mind, verified, recorded, certified, and now protected." They left in silence. The next morning, the same neighbors who once whispered, "Poor Elaine," were waving at me from their porches. News spreads fast when you outsmart gossip. Ryan tried calling. I didn't answer. Melissa emailed, "You made us look insane." I replied, "No, I made you look reflected." That night, I sat alone at the same kitchen table where the rumor began. The air was calm, the clock ticked steady. I poured tea, looked at the framed report on the wall, and smiled. They said I was losing my mind. So I showed them what a sane woman can build: truth that's time-stamped, notarized, and impossible to forget. I didn't sleep much the week after that dinner. Not because I was worried, because my mind was too awake. For years I'd been the steady one, the buffer between chaos and consequence. Now I was the storm, a quiet, deliberate storm. The next morning, I walked into Caroline Price's law office carrying 2 tote bags, one full of binders, the other full of receipts, camera footage on a USB, and a signed medical evaluation. Her assistant raised an eyebrow. "Evidence dump." "Foundation," I said. Caroline flipped through the files like a surgeon checking instruments. "Good, very good. With this, we're no longer just playing defense. We can go on record." "What does that mean?" I asked. "It means," she said slowly, "we make it impossible for them to petition for guardianship. We file our own affidavits first. We register your cognitive evaluation with the court. We send a preemptive cease and desist to anyone spreading defamation. And we let your children know in writing that you are represented. They'll either back off or double down. If they double down, we're ready." Her calm voice was like cool water. For the first time in weeks, I felt my heart slow. She drafted the letters that afternoon. Short, sharp, no wiggle room. To whom it may concern. Any further dissemination of false statements regarding Ms. Elaine Harper's mental capacity will be treated as defamation and subject to legal action. Ms. Harper has voluntarily undergone comprehensive cognitive evaluation and is represented by undersigned counsel. Caroline Price, attorney at law. We sent certified copies to Melissa and Ryan. No emojis this time, just signatures. That night the phone lit up. Melissa first. "Mom, what is this, a lawyer, defamation?" I kept my voice even. "If you're telling people I'm unstable, it's defamation." "We were worried." "No, you were maneuvering. Now you're on notice." Ryan called an hour later, voice tight. "This is extreme. You're making us look like villains." "You made yourselves look like villains," I said. "I just gave you the mirror." The neighborhood began to shift. Mrs. Lang brought over muffins, her eyes darting. "I'm so sorry if I said anything out of line." The pharmacist slipped me a note. "They came asking for your refill history." I told them HIPAA. Even the barber across the street gave me a free trim. Rumor dies when evidence is louder. I kept building my wall. Every morning, I filled out my function log, dates, times, tasks, witnesses. I even added small tests for myself, balancing my checkbook down to the cent, solving crosswords under a timer, cooking recipes from memory. Not because I doubted myself, because I wanted a pattern, a long, unbroken line of competence. Caroline suggested one more move. Make your finances completely transparent, but completely inaccessible. So I transferred my checking into a trust account managed by a licensed fiduciary. I gave myself a weekly disbursement and left the rest under professional control, by my choice. If anyone tried to claim I was vulnerable, the fiduciary's report would shut them down. I also hired a handyman, cash, with receipt, to install extra locks and a small safe. Inside, I placed my will, my deed, my new powers of attorney, and a single note on top. These documents were executed voluntarily by me, Elaine Harper of sound mind. Dated, signed, and witnessed. Everything I touched became timestamped truth. 2 weeks later, Melissa showed up unannounced. She walked in with that soft, pitying look, phone recording in her hand like she was catching me in the act. "Hi, Mom, just checking on you." Her eyes flicked to the camera over my kitchen table. She hadn't noticed it before. The little red light glowed steady. "You're recording me?" she asked. "I'm recording everyone," I said. She stiffened. "This is weird, Mom. You're acting paranoid." I reached under a stack of mail and slid out Dr. Feldman's evaluation, notarized. "Read this aloud," I said. She did. Perfect score, insight intact, no cognitive decline. She swallowed. "Why are you doing this?" "Because you tried to take my life from me one whisper at a time." She dropped the paper on the table like it burned. "We were just trying to help." "Then stop." She left without finishing her coffee. The doorbell cam caught her muttering, "This is going to backfire." "Good, let her say it on record." Ryan tried a softer approach, called me from a block number. "Mom, can we meet? Just you and me." "No recordings?" I asked. "None." I agreed. At a diner, public place, witnesses everywhere. He arrived looking like a man who's been losing sleep. "Mom, we've been thinking, we might have overreacted." "Might have." He rubbed his face. "Fine, we overreacted, but Jenna's been reading these articles about elder scams. We didn't want you to get hurt. By protecting me from myself." He sighed. "You're making this impossible. We're family." "No," I said quietly. "Family doesn't build cages out of rumors." He tried to grab my hand. I pulled it back. "Ryan, I'm documenting everything, every call, every text. If you keep pushing, it becomes harassment. Do you understand?" His jaw clenched. "This isn't you, Mom. You're turning cold." "No, this is me. You just never met me without my wallet open." He left a 20 on the table for coffee. He didn't drink. Caroline smiled when I told her. "They're panicking. That's good. They'll slip." "They already have," I said, showing her my doorbell cam footage. 2 days earlier, Melissa had tried to slide an envelope under my door. It contained an outdated power of attorney with a blank signature line. No note, no context. Caroline raised her eyebrows. "Classic, save that." "I already did." Then I set the trap, not cruel, just honest. I invited the neighbors, the same ones who'd been whispering, for a memory night at my house. Puzzle games, trivia, and my famous lemon bars. When they arrived, the kitchen was spotless, letters framed on the wall, my function log open on the counter. I played trivia host like a pro. Dates, capitals, medical facts, jokes. I beat them all politely with laughter. At the end, I stood up and said, "Thank you all for coming. I just wanted you to see with your own eyes that I'm not losing my mind. What I'm losing is patience with people who think they can rewrite my story." They clapped, some even apologized. Mrs. Lang hugged me. We should have known better. The next morning, Melissa posted a long, vague status about toxic parents. Comments were not kind. People had seen the truth now. Caroline and I filed the last piece. A sworn statement with the county clerk affirming my competence, attaching Dr. Feldman's evaluation, and notarized witness affidavits from my pharmacist, my neighbor, and Janice. All public record. Anyone trying to start a guardianship would hit a wall of paper before they even reached a judge. I felt lighter, but I wasn't done. I wanted them to feel what I had felt, the ground slipping out from under, the whispers, the disbelief, not out of cruelty, out of symmetry. So I prepared my final move, quiet, precise. Ryan had been using my address for a business credit line. I discovered it while reconciling my mail. He'd never asked permission. I called the bank, revoked authorization, and filed a fraud alert. The bank froze the line and sent a notice to his address. Not my doing, just consequences. Melissa had been helping me order household supplies on her Amazon Prime, charging them to my card. I closed the card, opened a new one, and changed every password. She called me frantic when her automatic charge failed. "Mom, what happened to the card?" "I stopped funding my own erasure," I said. 2 days later, they came together, knocked on my door like a team. Ryan spoke first. "We need to talk." I opened the door, but didn't invite them in. "This isn't healthy, Mom," Melissa said. "You're isolating." "No," I said, "I'm insulating." Ryan exhaled. "Look, we messed up, we can apologize, but you're making us look like monsters." "You did that yourselves," I said. Melissa's voice cracked. "We're your children." I looked at them both. "And you tried to make me your project." "Silence, the kind that tastes like metal." "Leave," I said softly, "until you're ready to treat me as a person, not a signature." They left. The doorbell cam caught it all. That night I sat at my kitchen table, tea steaming, the function log open to a clean page. Today's entry: stopped being a target. My heart was steady, my hands didn't shake. I wasn't just proving my sanity anymore, I was proving my sovereignty. And deep down, a part of me smiled at what was coming next. The move that would end the whispers forever, the proof no rumor could erase. The kind of proof you don't just show, you live. I kept that night's page open on the table. Stopped being a target. But the truth is, that wasn't the ending. It was the spark. The very next morning, a thick white envelope sat in my mailbox. No return address, but I knew the handwriting, Melissa's round loops pretending to be polite. Inside was a petition for guardianship. Filed, signed, stamped. My own children had taken the rumor all the way to court. For a moment, my hands trembled not from fear, but fury held too still. They had turned lies into paperwork, and paperwork leaves fingerprints. I called Caroline before I even sat down. "They filed," I said. "Good," she replied. "Now we burn it down legally." She filed an immediate objection. Every word tight as piano wire, attaching my cognitive tests, doctor's evaluation, the witness letters, and doorbell footage. "Let them explain this to a judge," she said. The hearing date was set for 2 Thursdays later. When I walked into the courtroom, I wasn't shaking. I'd chosen my calm like armor. Pale blue dress, hair tied back, my medical folder under my arm. Melissa sat in the front row, all cardigan and crocodile tears. Ryan kept his eyes on the table. Their lawyer looked like he practiced in Mirror's smooth voice, fake concern. "Your Honor," he began, "we're here because Mrs. Harper's well-being is our only priority. Her recent behavior, installing cameras, isolating from family, reflects growing paranoia." Caroline stood so quietly, it almost felt like the air made room for her. "Your Honor," she said, "we have certified medical proof of full cognitive ability, voluntary testing, documented daily function logs, and witness statements confirming her stability. What we're seeing here isn't concern, it's control." The judge, a middle-aged woman with the kind of patience that looks like threat, turned to me. "Mrs. Harper, would you like to speak?" I rose, my voice didn't shake. "Yes, Your Honor, my children say I'm paranoid, but I'd call it pattern recognition." A few chuckles scattered through the courtroom. Even the judge smiled. Caroline played the doorbell video, Melissa slipping an unsigned power of attorney envelope under my door. Ryan at the diner telling me, "We can do this as a family." Time, date, audio clear. The judge leaned forward. "Do either of you deny this footage?" Melissa's face flushed. "We were trying to." "Trying to?" The judge's voice cut her cleanly. "This footage suggests intent to assume control of your mother's assets without her consent. That is not protection. That's predation." Ryan opened his mouth, then closed it. Caroline handed up Dr. Feldman's report next. "Perfect recall, sound judgment, evaluation initiated voluntarily by patient." The judge nodded once. "That's enough. Petition dismissed with prejudice." She paused, looked at me. "Mrs. Harper, you've done something rare. Most people in your position panic. You documented, you prepared, and you trusted the system correctly. You have your autonomy, and my respect." I exhaled for what felt like the first time in months. Melissa started to cry. Real tears this time, maybe. Ryan mumbled something about miscommunication. I just said, "If you ever truly want to protect me again, start with the truth." The story hit the local paper 2 days later. Retired nurse defends herself against family's false claim. They called me sharp as glass and twice as clear. Neighbors who once whispered began dropping off pies and apologies. The church invited me to speak about elder abuse. I stood there, holding my function log like a flag. "Don't wait for permission to protect yourself," I told them. Keep receipts for money, for medicine, for kindness. Caroline called one morning. You could sue them, she said. Defamation, emotional distress, maybe even attempted exploitation. You'd win. But I didn't want revenge. I wanted meaning. So I built something instead. I took the savings they once tried to take from me and started the Harper Fund, a small scholarship for nursing students who plan to work in elder care. The tagline reads, "Because clarity deserves witnesses." Caroline helped with the legal work. Janice helped write the brochure. Every form bore my signature in clean blue ink, of sound mind, voluntarily executed. Melissa sent me a letter months later. "We went too far, Mom. We didn't mean to hurt you. We were scared of losing you." I sent back 3 lines. "You didn't lose me. You tried to own me. I'm still here." Ryan hasn't written. I think guilt has its own silence. Now, when I sit at my kitchen table, the camera still hums softly above me. Not out of paranoia, out of peace. It reminds me that truth doesn't hide. Some nights I make tea, open my binder, and read that line from Dr. Feldman's letter again. Excellent recall, excellent judgment, evaluation initiated voluntarily. And every time, I whisper the same thing to myself. They said I was losing my mind. Turns out, I just started using it. Then I close the file, switch off the light, and let the quiet prove the rest.